It was about 500 interviews in, I started seeing trends. And then 700 interviews in, I'm seeing the same thing. What am I seeing? I'm seeing that no matter how big, billion-dollar plus, or how small startup, the companies in healthcare are always running into marketing issues. So I say to myself, this is a big problem, I think. So then I go look at the data and sure enough, it's like a big, huge industry, healthcare marketing in the billions. And I'm like, there's something here.
Welcome to How I Grew This, where we dive into the world of digital marketing and connect with leaders in the space about how they're scaling, evolving, and growing. Hello, and welcome to How I Grew This. I'm really excited about our guest today. We have Saul Marquez, founder and CEO of Outcomes Rocket, a marketing, media, and advisory firm helping health tech and medical device companies accelerate growth. He has a rich healthcare background and hosts a couple of awesome healthcare podcasts. He's prolific. One has nearly 2,000 episodes. Welcome, Saul.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Adam. Good to be with you guys.
Thanks for joining.
Awesome. Thanks for joining. Well, my first question, you've spent your entire career in health in some capacity. So I'm curious what drew you to it and what has kept you excited about it.
Yeah. Wow. Well, you know what? I was a history major in college, so that was weird.
That's a perfect background.
Obvious, natural fit.
Right. Classical
Starts
humanities.
With an H.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it does. It does. And, I was kind of drawn to healthcare. It actually started as a kid, but when I was in college, I remember I went to Miami of Ohio and I'm sitting there. They recruit, Stryker recruits. And I remember going to one of their recruiting events. And I was in awe of medical devices and what the reps did and, even marketing. And sure enough, they didn't want to hire me because I was a history major. So that didn't work out. But what ended up happening was I was like, when I get an idea in my head, I get fixated. And I figure out a way to make it happen. So I got my first gig out of college. And a year and a half into it, I finally broke into medical devices. But it actually all started when I was a kid, back when playgrounds used to have actual cement grounds. They used to not be rubber.
Oh, yeah.
This is going to be a painful story to tell already.
Big scrapes knee action.
Oh, man. So I was with my cousin who was probably 6, 7 years older than I was. And he and his friends were going up the monkey bars back when monkey bars used to be high and cements used to be, grounds used to be cement.
Under.
They were jumping. They were jumping off, right? And I just thought it was super cool because I looked up to him. Well, I went up to go do it and I fell backwards. And so I woke up in the hospital.
Yeah.
And thankfully, everything's fine. My wife would argue that it's not, but everything turned out. Something happened. You haven't been the same. But I remember when I woke up, my parents weren't in the room and I kind of freaked out. And this nurse grabbed my hand and I just remember being okay. And she called me down and then they came in. And then I remember driving away and looking at the hospital as it got smaller, thinking, I love those people. They took care of me. And ever since then, I've been fascinated with healthcare, and so it's just been that moment that really kind of sparked the light in my heart for it. To fast forward that meeting with Stryker where they just got me hooked. And, 20 years later, here we are, haven't looked back since.
So wait, So Stryker, you went to a recruiting event. They said, no, thanks, you're a history major. You said, well, I'm going to work for you no matter what. And you did eventually work for them, right?
I did. That was my first. Okay. So that was my first med device gig with Stryker. Yeah.
So
you said, listen.
They said, yeah,
you said, listen, I have a monkey bar story that's going to change your mind about me.
I like it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It actually was crazy because I got a job with Cintas, the uniform people. I was selling floor mats and toilet paper to industrial.
What a combo.
That's what I was selling. Oh. So I went from selling floor mats and toilet paper to selling spinal implants.
Oh, wow.
Spinal
Because it makes
implants.
sense, right?
That's a cool one.
Yeah,
If you
So
could
were you-
differentiate toilet paper, you could differentiate anything.
true.
Yeah. Were a two-ply, baby? That's all you
Two-ply.
need. And were you in on some of those procedures as
Definitely,
well?
yeah. So
Yeah.
when I first started, I was in spine and also I dabbled in trauma, and I carried a pager, believe it or not. Like I had a pager back then. And I was literally, so as a rep, you don't scrub in, but you put your scrubs on, and you have a little laser because you know the equipment better than anybody else, right? And so you're literally like telling people how to put it together. You're giving the surgeon tips, like the whole thing. Yeah.
So
Wow.
great background for what you've been able to build, having
It's been
that
fun.
on the ground experience.
It's been fun. It's been a
Very
lot of
nice.
fun. I'm
And
grateful
so Outcomes
in so many
Rocket
ways.
is your company. You started it.
Yes, correct.
And how long ago was that?
So Outcomes Rocket started as a podcast. And
Of course
actually,
it did.
like, yeah, 2,000 plus episodes in. It started as a podcast, but the interesting thing is that my first podcast crashed and burned. I did 52 episodes and it failed miserably. So I kind of
How
like
do you define fail miserably? Like, oh, it's only you and your mom listening to?
You know what? It defined it by, I was trying to build a business, right? Sort of like my audience didn't end up being the right audience. The importance of, and when we talk about marketing, right, it's like tactics are the noise you hear before the war is lost. And so strategy comes first, and then you got your personas, psychographics. Who are they, right? And so I didn't know that back then. So I just built something based off of what I knew. And a lot of people do that. And so I learned, and then I built Outcomes Rocket, and that worked out really well, right? So like it just took off. By the way, the one thing is like, at the time, there was this guy, his name's John Lee Dumas, Entrepreneurs on Fire. He was like the podcast guy. I'm one that doesn't like to reinvent the wheel. I'd rather invest to accelerate. And so I reached out to him. He was raising money for like a new book that he had written. I flew to Puerto Rico to his house because I invested whatever, 10 grand or 15 grand. And I was with him and his fiance at their house in Puerto Rico. And he literally like gave me the blueprint. And I created Outcomes Rocket with his experience that accelerated me into, the podcast, which grew. And then I was always doing the podcast as sort of like a pleasure / network / grow my experience thing, because I was doing different jobs in medical devices. And then I got to tell you guys, like, it was about 500 interviews in, I started seeing trends. And then 700 interviews in, I'm seeing the same thing. What am I seeing? I'm seeing that no matter how big, $1 billion plus, or how small startup, the companies in healthcare are always running into marketing issues. So I say to myself, this is a big problem, I think. So then I go look at the data, and sure enough, it's like a big, huge industry, healthcare marketing in the billions. And I'm like, there's something here. There's something here. I'm going to do something with it. And so I was really frustrated. I wasn't happy with my career. I mean, it looked like I was successful. I was, right? Like I was like a successful guy. But to be honest, I was unhappy. I was kind of like, golden handcuffs. And I remember having the conversation with my wife. I said, babe, like I can't do this anymore. I have a couple ideas. And she basically was like, I believe in you. Like, whatever you want to do, like, I believe in you, so important to have your partner has your back. So with her, blessing and sort of belief, I sort of built kind of the plan and got a few contracts signed and then quit my job. And it's been 3 years. We've been growing so fast. I'm so grateful for the decision. And that is the story.
Well, you seem happy. So I think it worked.
Good. It's
I
good.
love it. You start the podcast, see the opportunity, and then go into it. As a neophyte in healthcare, I've been in marketing my whole career. How would you say healthcare marketing differs from more traditional marketing?
Yeah, I would liken it to other highly regulated industries. So, you got healthcare, finance, education, right? So I guess number one, you got regulation. You've got different flavors of it. So like regulation, the regulation spectrum, all the way to the right, most regulated, you got pharma and med device. And then all the way to the left, you've got things that are not governed by FDA. I mean, you could even say if you would qualify supplements as part of that,
yeah.
Right? That would be all the way to the left because some of the stuff is not even, FDA.
No, and direct marketing is kind of how it lives.
And you can solve any problem you have in the whole world if you walk into a supplement store.
True.
That's right. So regulation's one of them. But then the other thing is, you guys know this really well, right? The business that you're in, the nuances, and the money flow is not normal. Like the flow of money is not normal in healthcare. It's different. Although, B2C, which I think is a topic of interest for our listeners, right? So like on the B2C front, it's interesting because with the changes in sort of healthcare coverage, you've got increasing premiums, right? Like your personal out-of-pocket premium as an individual is now higher than ever.
Yeah,
so
California,
what that has
right here. Oh, yeah.
Same, brother. Where are you at? I'm in San Diego.
We're up in the Sierra Nevadas.
Oh, okay, cool. You too, Amanda?
No, I'm down in Austin, Texas.
Oh, you're in Austin. Another
flew
great
back
place.
from San Francisco a few days ago.
Super cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point there is so it's changing. The dynamic's changing because of these larger copays, and so consumers are actually starting to have choice. You have a shift in the way people are making decisions because they're making decisions with their wallet. It used to not be that way, but there's still so many more nuances. So I would say the second difference is how the money flows. It's not traditional economics.
So I want to dig a little bit into the regulation piece because, a lot of our customers come to us and they're trying to balance their growth goals with compliance goals. What do you see when talking to, health companies that are looking to start to drive some omni-channel growth in terms of where they fall on the spectrum when you're talking to a marketer versus someone else, or like how often that HIPAA piece comes up?
Yeah. I mean, you guys know this. It is possible to gather de-identified data and still have the information you need to inform, are these programs that we're running being effective or are they falling short? So I think that a lot of people hide behind HIPAA. I think a lot of people will blow it up. And if you actually better understand it and follow the rules, you're not going to be afraid and just say HIPAA, because a lot of people just say HIPAA. And then the people in the room are like, oh yeah, HIPAA.
That's so funny.
Right? It's like, no, man, just dig in.
It makes a lot of sense, ultimately. Like, you don't want your personal health information shared out there, but that doesn't mean that you can't run effective marketing. You just have to handle it properly and, encrypt or obfuscate or whatever it may be. But it is funny. I do think a lot of people don't actually know what are the laws of HIPAA. What does the regulation actually lay out?
Like, is it 2 Ps? Is it 2 As?
Oh,
I bet
that
if
one
you quiz,
gets people.
If you quiz them, it'll be like half and half.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know. What is it? Is it 2 Ps or 2
A's?
I always get it wrong. It's 2 A's.
2
See,
A's.
Amanda's here to gut check us.
So on that note, this one of the things that I talk about with marketers, especially now with AI, which I'm sure we'll get into, but personalization, everyone agrees, is a huge opportunity for marketing. And I want to get back to your economics, which is the second part of your question later too. But when it comes to personalization and protection and regulation and HIPAA, how do you marry those two? How do you personalize your marketing message while retaining the requirements of privacy to your clients? And that's, I guess, mostly consumers in that sense.
Yeah, you definitely have to be careful, right? So number one, when somebody hits your site, you got to make sure that your website or app, in this matter, right, has the appropriate notifications, privacy policy, making sure that you have the standard cookie notices and what cookies do you want to accept or not. I feel like people vary on that spectrum. Some people do want that personalized, delivery of offers. Like YouTube, right? Hey, would you want us to serve ads tailored to you? They're very forward about that.
Right. And Facebook famously saw way better engagement, even though everyone complained about the personalized newsfeed. Everyone saw better engagement, and people use Facebook more because it was personalized. So probably the same thing.
Yeah. So like just like in anything else, like personas, you have personas that will lean into that and personas that won't. So if there are some that will lean into it, you might as well capitalize on it and give them what they want and give them more personalized experiences. And then the ones that don't, then just don't. But it's all about like being upfront, having all the legal requirements in place for communication strategies. That's sort of like fundamental. And then it's really interesting. Like, I mean, I'd love to learn from you guys within the app. Like, how does it differ? Like, what are the key differences between the app and the website? Does it change, or is it just an extension?
One of the biggest things is a lot of cases there's an app only feature or an app only kind of product capability.
Got it.
So think about even in some cases, like joining a telehealth appointment, or in some cases being able to track something in your app, like a prescription status, or being able to actually just access certain capabilities that aren't supported on web. So a lot of times the idea is that you want to make certain features app only to drive users to the app, because app users are famously giving you higher engagement, more loyal, stick around, all of those good things. So when you're thinking about some of those marketing tactics, it makes sense not only from a user experience perspective and the fact that this travels with you on the go and that it's always available to you, but also that it is that tool for deeper engagement. So a lot of times there's a lot that's mirrored between the web and app experience, but that you will push towards these app-only features in certain cases.
Yeah, the other challenge with apps is just that technology is a lot more dispersed in how it works. So you think about like a website, it's, a HTTP link that you click and you go to and you're in the website. When it comes to an app, the app sits in the Apple or the Google store. To click through it, you have to go to a link, and there might be a branch link through a platform. You have an analytics platform, an email service provider. The flow of data isn't just between the consumer and the company. The flow of data becomes a lot more analytics. There's a lot more service providers that are in the middle of it. And those service providers have to be accredited and taking care of the data. Like, for instance, Branch, we have to be HIPAA compliant, or is it HIPAA eligible? What is Amanda,
so we, since we're not a business associate, we are a business associate. We are not a company that needs a covered entity. So we don't need to be HIPAA compliant. We offer solutions that help those entities be HIPAA compliant. So it's HIPAA eligible.
Requires a full
product offering.
Legal audit for us to go through, and requires us to handle the data differently. And that's something that every single provider along the path of the app journey needs to do to be more effective. And that makes it a lot more difficult.
Totally. Wow. Yeah, I never thought about that. That's very interesting.
But you have thought a lot about marketing generally for these health companies overall. So a health company comes to you and they say they have these growth goals. Where do you start? What do you look at? What do you help them with?
Yeah, I had mentioned one of our kind of favorite quotes that we share with clients is that tactics are the noise you hear before the war is lost. It's from Sun Tzu. It's the art of war. And it's so true in marketing, because there's so many shiny pennies out there, so many things that you could do. So when somebody comes to us, so our framework is very simple. We call it the 3D framework. And our framework is essentially discover, define, deliver. So in the discover phase, we really ask all of the hard questions about what are your goals? Who's your target audience? What are the key metrics that you're after? All of the things that are strategy. By the way, in healthcare marketing, McKinsey did a report. This was in 2022. And their report showed that only 28% of healthcare marketers have a documented content plan.
It's pretty low.
28%.
It
is crazy low. It is crazy low. Does it make sense?
It makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people have documented engagement plans in general. So yeah, that makes sense.
So like, I remember seeing that stat, and then I remember sort of the aha moment that I was sharing with you guys about like the problem that exists. The other stat that I'll lay on top of that is this. This is general, just as businesses in general in the US, is that 50% of all businesses fail within 5 years, and 97% fail at 10 years. And the number one reason for failure is lack of product demand. So,
how do you create that demand?
Yeah, so you start layering all these problems on, and it's the solution's very clear. So like 3D discover, right? And on the discover phase, we figure out everything that's important to the strategy and the personas and the go-to-market. In the define, it's really getting crystallized on your GTM strategy. Like, what exactly are you doing? What are the frameworks that you're going to follow? What are the roadmaps that you're going to take? And what are the KPIs that are going to define success or failure? That's define. And then deliver is like, now you have all the tactics. All those tactics fall into 3 buckets: either owned, earned, or paid.
Yep.
And if anybody tries to, right? If anybody tries to complicate it, like they're trying to sell you something, it's very simple. So you like within all those 3, you're really like can now choose, because the work that you did in discover and define helps you get rid of all the nonsense that's going to cost you money instead of make you money. That's going to cost you impact instead of make you impact. So now you have clarity, and obviously like you move forward to execution. That's the deliver, right? So discover, define, deliver, and you could deliver and then iterate. You measure based off the KPIs, and you iterate until you get it, and then you go. And then you double down and you triple down. So that's kind of how we approach marketing, and how when clients come to us, we help them.
I love hearing it laid out so simply as owned, earned, and paid. And truly, it is quite simple. But when you're spending time with your customers, talk to me about some of the channels that you're seeing as being underutilized, or is it just like a very personal experience depending on that specific brand? Or what are you seeing in some of the most underutilized versus effective channels in digital marketing?
I will say, I believe that sort of like, it's interesting what happens in B2C versus what happens in B2B, right? So like, I will say that right now, B2B healthcare is asleep at the wheel on influencer marketing. And that's a huge opportunity right now, right? B2C is like, you guys are capitalizing on that. You know it, right? It's working out, or maybe not. I don't know. Do you think there's an opportunity there?
We've heard from other folks that the same exact thing, is that the content community is what's being slept on right now.
It is insane, man. Like literally micro influencers. I'm talking like
under 10,000 or something.
Yeah,
like in there,
like super niche. You're looking at that 10,000 to 50,000 range, irrespective of platform. In healthcare, you're probably looking at LinkedIn a lot. But the willingness of them to work with you, and then the impact that you see from an influencer campaign versus email or traditional methods, it's pretty cool to see that. So I feel like if you guys are listening to this and you're looking to take one thing away that could potentially help you, I would start plugging into ChatGPT. How can I leverage influencer campaigns to help my marketing strategy? Because that's one area that we're seeing success in, that is a lot of people are still not doing the work. So it's awesome to have that green space.
I am curious how you're measuring that, because you said you're seeing great results. Can you talk to me a little bit about some of the tools to understand how those are going?
Depending on the results that you're looking for, right? So, with those campaigns, you could have a goal of brand awareness.
Right.
which, right? I mean, it's not, so you have
harder to measure, but
it's harder to measure. It's harder to measure. But you could measure it with things like visits to the site. You could measure it with click-through rates. You could measure it through I mean, then you get your conversion, right? That could be a lower of the funnel kind of metric in that same campaign. Like, is the awareness that I'm getting targeted enough that's creating those conversions that I'm looking for? So like that would be kind of like the level, like mid to bottom of funnel metric. But like you could have very tactical, like I'm looking for highly qualified visitors to visit my site. So what is a highly qualified visitor? They fit a persona. And today, again, back to rules of the game, like you have tools that help you identify visitors, irregardless of a conversion, right? So they could visit and you could know who they are. You have very much data that can help you understand if you're getting those people that you want to be on your site or on your app. I wonder how you measure it on your app.
Well, there's a tool called Branch.
Oh, Branch. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So we help brands understand where all of their conversions are coming from back to the source, whether it's email or from an influencer campaign or whatever it may be.
I love that.
So yes, in a HIPAA eligible way for the health companies.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So do you know like, so are you familiar with like tools like RB2B, for example?
No. Tell us more.
RB number 2B? No?
RB2B. Is it for B2B companies specifically?
So it's for anybody. It's B2B or B2C. It's actually one of our favorite tools.
Nice.
Adam Robinson, the CEO, just like a cool dude, just saw the problem, right? And so you have really kind of a low entry tool now to be able to understand who's visiting your site, like, the person at the person
What does the
level.
R stand for?
It's retention.
Retention B2B. So it's like an analytics platform that tracks engagement.
Yeah. And so we use it a lot when we're doing ad campaigns. And then we just love using it actually for intention signals. When we're running campaigns, for us, it's like intention signals that works really well. So anyway, it sounds like you guys are able to do that at the app level, which is cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, we're going to get here eventually, but you mentioned ChatGPT. I want to throw a wrench into the normal conversation, which is like the opportunities. What are people doing that you're seeing in the clients you work with that are absolutely not working with AI? Like, where are the biggest mistakes you see people adopting or trying to and failing with AI today?
What I would say is I would take a step back from that question and say that AI is being overutilized and overall for everything. And what's happening as a result of that, I actually wrote a piece on this recently. What's happening as a result of the overuse of AI is you've got AI overload and you've got this, the cost of lack of focus. So what happens is like, when you're switching from here to here, you're doing this and you're not doing this. You're not focusing. If you guys aren't watching this video, I'm like pointing and my head's going side to side. That was this. And this is like focus in on the thing that's going to get you the most results. AI is making chief marketing officers like they have rubbernecks, and what's failing right now is like lack of integration. And what I see happening right now is AI mania. We, in the article that I wrote, I called it AI Frankenstein accounts and AI Frankenstein tech stacks that are totally disintegrated, when what is truly needed is that red thread that brings it all together, that points into one or two directions max, that helps get you to the end goal. So like, Adam, like to your question, I wanted to take a step back and point to the problem is that like there's too much and you guys are evaluating too many things. And so What we need is more thinking and more
focus,
integration,
and depth,
and focus and depth. Yeah.
So to read that back to you, it's people are getting too distracted by all the possibilities, and so therefore they're doing too many things poorly, rather than doing the most important things correctly and deeply and completely.
Correct.
I'm going to ask ChatGPT on what I should do about that.
Oh man, no, but you did touch on something really important, which is, I think it extends way past AI. And when you're talking with marketers or, anyone that's trying to drive a growth strategy, you have all sorts of different teams that are focused on a different channel, that are like bringing in one tool for this, one tool for that, often not talking to each other, often using different messaging. So I think, the idea of integration and a unified source of things, it extends past that. Do you have any best practices for how to get folks on the same page and drive towards a more cohesive ship?
Yeah, and it goes back to sort of the strategy, and if you have a very clearly outlined brand house, your brand house is a pyramid, and at the very top is your brand, statement, your purpose. And then as you go further down, your brand promise, the things that you want to be known for, your uniques.
Mm-hmm.
If you have that clearly, and the proof, right?
Yeah.
If you have that very clearly outlined, and then you have your target personas clearly outlined, I would say, and look, you should be using AI. It's a tool that helps accelerate. So what you want to do is make sure that the base knowledge is synchronized. Back to the idea of integration. So if you haven't already, create a custom GPT for your team that becomes the source of truth for messaging. And, in that GPT, you train it with all the files that I just shared with you and more. And to get even tighter, all of the posts that you've posted the last year that have worked really well. And then that GPT is going to become your AI Copilot. It's going to become a really good friend to you and your team to make sure you stay aligned, because and then you make it a rule. You make it a rule that you don't go navigating into random GPT chats, to create content. You use this one. And then you could actually go further and create one for each persona. I'm just telling you, create the one for the brand, but now you could create, branch GPT, GTM, branch GPT, virtual care, branch GPT, whatever, right? For each, and then, wow. But then you got to create process that your team follows to stay within those lanes, because you work hard. You work so hard to document these things.
So your issue with AI is that people aren't using it in the smartest way to make sure that they have that Copilot. It's very fragmented and therefore making everything more disjointed and sloppy.
Yes.
So there is a way to integrate it into your workflow that makes you more efficient, that gets everyone on the same page. It's just important you take those initial steps to do that first.
Exactly. And it's music. When it works, it's music.
Right. Oh. What genre would you say it is?
It is orchestra. Yeah. It's orchestra. It's rock. It's rock, baby. It's rock.
Okay, I like it. Or
1990s
orchestral
rock.
covers
1990s
of 90s rock, perhaps.
Yes.
So sad, melodramatic, and the same beat over and over.
But epic. Okay.
I'm showing my cards. I
do want to ask, what do you think is next in health tech, or what trends you're tracking? Because you mentioned through your podcasting, you're connecting with leaders all over this space, and seeing themes come up. So what has been coming up for you lately, and how does that help you determine what's next?
I think what's happening right now is actually very interesting. We are you guys have probably heard of the, Pierre Diamandis. He's got his 6 Ds of the singularity or whatever. So essentially what happens is you go from material to basically like dematerialization, right? This is sort of like A16Z, software eats the world, right? Same concept. What's happening right now is, I think, pretty cool in that we're involved in both health tech and medical device, right? These worlds are colliding, and it's happening, in my eyes, very fast. So where historically you've got capital heavy solutions, legacy medical device, you're actually starting to see a departure from that and have more algorithm based technologies where that are more capital light. You have AI, which is the bridge. And so like a lot of these health tech companies, which are hyper like into the AI, creating fast solutions, quick iterations. And then you have med device, which is legacy slow, FDA, things take years. And I'll lump pharma into that too. But like I'm speaking specifically to health tech and med device. Now you're actually starting to see medical device companies need to start thinking like health tech companies to market.
Okay.
So AI is enabling faster iteration of hardware focused traditionally legacy companies.
Yes.
That makes sense.
And how you differentiate, right? And so like I feel like the playbook that's being used by health tech can be leveraged by med tech. It's a sleepy opportunity. But actually the really cool thing is that now like health tech can also learn from med tech because they're getting opportunities to integrate with the big incumbents. There's actually big money opportunities for health tech right now in these integrations. So like I'm seeing them all over the place. Like one of our clients was recently acquired by Stryker, for example, right?
Oh, wow.
A prime
Bringing
example.
it back.
Comes up again, yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah,
there it is.
full circle.
Care AI, right? Like, man, their vision was that everything that's in a Tesla, all of the spatial AI should be in an OR.
Oh,
And,
yeah. Okay. I like that use case.
Yeah. Yeah. And so they did a brilliant job. And of course, you know, Stryker being the heavy equipment meets Care AI with the light algorithm, fall prevention detection AI, match made in heaven. So what I'm saying to the listeners out there is that if you're in either of the two camps, study each other. Because there's big opportunities in each other's playbooks. You guys both have great playbooks. We happen to see and play with both of them. So
cool
if you guys are
vantage
curious,
point.
Yeah, right. If you guys are curious about either side, hit me up anytime. I'm always game to chat about this kind of stuff. As you can tell, I love it. I'm passionate about it. But I think that's sort of like one thing that I see a trend, this convergence in these two industries.
And that's I think not just healthcare. Like I spend most of my time outside of healthcare, but that works outside of healthcare too, which is the hardware and the software AI enabled are combining both on the marketing side.
You're
but also
seeing
the
that too?
Yes, absolutely. That's a very analogous point.
That's cool, man. I don't know. We're living in a historic age right now.
Absolutely. Like and it's hard to keep up. It's all happening so fast.
It is. I was chatting with a friend of mine, Tiffany Burnett. She's the chief marketing officer at Class Research. And we did a panel and, you know, she spoke to this point. So I want to give Tiffany like a shout out on this one, is that it's moving so fast. And like, don't get down on yourself if you feel you're not keeping up, because it's moving so fast for all of us. So her tips were share best practices, have AI tips and tricks sessions with your team, because like and bring it up maybe once a quarter, see what's new, see what's changing, because what used to be the best platform for slide creation this quarter is actually not anymore next quarter. What's best quoting software is now, you know, not the best. Like Lovable is worth $1 billion like within 1 year. Like so there's all these things, right, that are sort of key. So it's okay to feel overwhelmed. Share with your peers.
Love that takeaway.
That's a good conclusion.
Man, so yes, we have covered a lot here, but before we share how people can stay in touch with you. Any last words of wisdom about what companies in the health space should be thinking about right now?
You know what? I mean, I would tell you that with all the AI froth, 2026 is the year of execution. So I would say that cut through the noise, focus on delivering what you said you would to your clients, and forget everything else. That would be my message. And make sure that you do it with conviction, with vigor, with passion. And I think you'll separate yourself from the people with shiny slide decks and websites. So that would be my takeaway. Focus on execution. This is the year where execution will get you a leap ahead. And for any insights, we do a quarterly report. We like to explore different things. Like the last one we did was on account-based marketing. The quarter before that, we did it on AI chatbots. So there's so many things. And by the way, we actually said we're nerds. We're bumping it up. We're doing 2 insights reports a month now, starting this quarter. Our next one's going to be on go-to-market strategy, which is actually fascinating so far. We're about halfway done. But anyway, if you want insights, outcomesrocket.com. We have our insights tab there. Check them out. We're going to be cranking out 2 of those every quarter. And if you want to connect with me, email is not the best. Hit me up on LinkedIn. You could find me there. Yeah.
Or listen to one of your many podcasts.
Or
correct?
Listen to the podcast. Yeah, there's plenty of good ones.
Awesome. Well, I certainly enjoyed this conversation. Really appreciate you coming on and excited to follow these insights. I'm already interested in going to check out the AVM one and many more, and listening to your pods. So thank you.
Thanks, Saul.
I really appreciate it, guys. No, thanks, Amanda. Thanks, Adam. Appreciate you guys.
And we'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much for listening. If you like the show, please leave a review wherever you listen to this and share with someone trying to grow their career or their business. Until next time, keep growing.